Out of the gates and on the air. Welcome into another edition of the Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for making us a part of your day. We are going to break down my final Baltimore Ravens 53-man roster projection. I will reveal who I think ultimately makes this team, as the final rosters will be revealed here in the next couple of days after the final preseason game. So let's go ahead and get started with the quarterback position. The most obvious, right, for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley will make the 53-man roster, and I expect the Ravens to have two quarterbacks active on the roster. Anthony Brown, he'll get cut, but I think there's a good chance that Anthony Brown is the practice squad quarterback for the Ravens, that he's shown enough to stay around and be that option for Baltimore there. So with that, we will move on with the rest of the roster in just one moment, but I need your help, guys. So my father is a lifelong Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and he and all his Steeler buddies keep sharing all these Steeler videos on my Facebook timeline, and it's driving me crazy. So here's what I need from you guys. Can you share today's video of the Ravens Rundown, help cleanse my timeline of all the Steelers-ness? And here's how you do it. You may be asking, well, how do I share the video? Well, click share, select the Facebook icon, tag Chat Sports, and use the hashtag flock. Click post, and that would do us a big favor around here, so we're not dealing with all these crazy Steeler fans that are just hogging up my timeline. Need to see more Ravens Rundown in there. So share today's video, and we would be glad you did. So moving on, let's get to the running back position now. And Gus Edwards to the PUP list. That opens up another spot on the roster when it comes to the running backs and fullbacks, as I have Justice Hill ultimately making it. Doesn't mean he'll be there for long, but nonetheless, Justice Hill gets that spot. And the good news with the Ravens when it comes to the running backs is that last year they were dealt with so many injuries, right? And they were willing to take about anybody to play running back. This year, yes, you don't have Gus Edwards at the start of the year. He'll miss the first 4 games. But as you can see there, Dobbins, Davis, Hill, and company, you have options you didn't have previously. So this is a good group. I like what the running back group brings to the table, and having a Pro Bowl fullback certainly helps too. At the wide receiver spot, this is where things get interesting. The much-talked-about wide receiver room in Baltimore. Obviously, Bateman, Duvernay, Prochet, those guys are easy calls to make it. But then the last couple of spots get interesting. Tylan Wallace, a former Day 2 selection, that's hard to move on from, even though he hasn't looked good in the preseason and did deal with some injuries. And then there's Demarcus Robinson. And I went back and forth on this. Does D-Rob make it? Does Shamar Bridges ultimately make it? And I think that the Ravens, it's a gamble, because if you do end up letting him go, that he could still go to somebody else. But I think that might be a gamble the Ravens take here, of letting Bridges go, not make the 53-man, and hope to put him on the practice squad and give Demarcus Robinson that last spot for now. Look, of D-Rob's contract, we found out the details that of the $1 million he's getting paid, about $800,000 of that is guaranteed. So about 80%. Doesn't take a math whiz to figure that out. I don't think that you have that much guaranteed if you were going to just let Demarcus Robinson go. So I would lean towards Robinson, but I like Shamar Bridges. Wouldn't rule out him making the 53-man roster later on at some point in the year if there's an injury of some sorts. So who makes the roster? Gets one of those last roster spots for the Ravens. Do they hold on to Demarcus Robinson or Shamar Bridges? If it is Bridges, type SB. If it's Demarcus Robinson, type DR. Our pinned comment today, you might get an ad break. Take advantage of it while the ads play and get your votes in. Let me know one way or the other. Let's talk about the tight end spot now. Charlie Kolar to the PUP list for now, and so with that, I expect the Ravens to go with Andrews, Boyle, and Likely. Likely has been really impressive so far to this point. Mark Andrews, we know how good he is, and then Nick Boyle, a good blocker. That'll be the best tight end room in the league, especially when you get Charlie Kolar back, of what he'll ultimately bring to the table there. Then on the offensive line, the offensive line is going to be fascinating. I have 10 guys on the Ravens offensive line, so going about 2 deep, essentially, with this group of who will ultimately be on the roster when it's all said and done. And with Ronnie Stanley, what you hope for is that he's good enough where not only does he come back in time for the season, but avoid the PUP list and all that. That would be ideal. If he misses week 1 but is not on the PUP list, that would be a good sign. So we'll see in regards to Ronnie Stanley there. Also making it, I have both the Bens. All about the Benjamins around here on Ravens Rundown, as Ben Powers and Ben Cleveland make it. Ben Powers has impressed so far through training camp. I believe in our last roster projection before training camp, we had Ben Powers missing, and ultimately he's come around and impressed so far, and he could very well start in one of those guard spots for the Ravens there. So if you had to Madden scale this offense for the Ravens in 2022, what grade would you give it? Now, because this is Madden, we're doing this 1 through 99. There's no 100s in Madden, okay? You have to go back to like ESPN NFL 2K5 to find an NFL game where you could scale it to 100. So with that, how would you rate this Ravens offense this year? A lot of big weapons for this group. We know they can be explosive. If you had to put a number on it, what would it be? Scale it 1 to 99 in the comments section and let me know. Got a great deal that we are offering our viewers of the Ravens Rundown. It is a T-shirt and hat combination, and because I'm nice, I am offering this for $23.99, just for you folks out there. Look at this. Charm City Football, got the hat in purple. There's a lot of swag going on here, and if you order it now, you can still get it on time for football season. There's only one place where you can get this. That's chatsports.com/Ravens combo for your T-shirt and hat deal. $23.99 while supplies last. Chatsports.com/Ravens combo to get yours today. Let's talk defense now. Looking at the defensive line here. Campbell, obviously, Pierce, and Jones and company. There's nothing when I look at this group that's too shocking here when it comes to the defensive line here to get us to this point of 31 players so far here. To me, there's no big surprises on that end. Moving on to the linebackers, Patrick Queen, Josh Bynes, Malik Harrison, and Christian Welch. Ultimately, we have as some of those guys, 4 of the linebackers, the inside linebackers making it there. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how much playing time Welch can get. We have him as getting one of those last inside linebacker spots. We know we're going to see Queen. We know we're going to see Bynes and Harrison. Welch seems to be a special teams guy, but when you look at that group, can he find a way to get on the field more? If he doesn't impress, then maybe the Ravens look at other options potentially down the road there, but we do have him making it. Outside linebacker, Adafe Owe, of course, makes it on the list alongside Tyus Bowser. Justin Houston makes it one of the more recent additions to the Ravens. And then making one of the final spots on the roster overall is Daylon Hayes, the outside linebacker. And he's somebody that is a borderline player. He's had his moments here and there, but we here at Ravens Rundown think that he's good enough for now to make this 53-man roster. Now, you might disagree with me on that, and that's okay, but tell me in the comments section, are we right on this? Is Hayes going to make the 53-man roster for Baltimore? If so, we believe that he will. Type T for true. If you disagree with that, that's okay. Even though you're wrong, type L for lie. Let me know if that is truth or is that a lie if Daylon Hayes will make the 53-man roster for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we got a thing that we're doing here at Ravens Rundown. We are really pushing subscribers because we would like to get to 7,000 before week 1. And that'll be here September 11th when the Ravens open up against the New York Jets. And so I need you to subscribe now so we can reach that milestone. I promised you when we got to 7,000 subscribers, I would do the Ray Lewis dance. I am a man of my word, but we got to get there first. So we got to get there by the beginning of football season. We're at 6,905 right now. Let's see if we can get there. Subscribe now, youtube.com/Ravens TV. Tell all your fellow Ravens fans, make sure they subscribe as well so we can reach that 7,000 milestone here on the channel. youtube.com/Ravens TV. Let's move to the secondary now, and for the secondary for the Ravens, as I've said many times on this program before, this is the best secondary in the National Football League. And the cornerback spots, I have the Ravens ultimately holding on to 6 guys. Humphrey, Peters, Stevens, Armour-Davis, Williams, Fuller. Really no surprises with this group. The thing that is interesting when you look at the safeties for me is that Adarius Washington goes to the PUP list. And so now what you have is, in this circumstance, Marcus Williams is your only true free safety of your safety group here. Chuck Clark, Kyle Hamilton, Geno Stone, and Tony Jefferson are all strong safeties. Somebody's going to have to back up Marcus Williams. We would think that Kyle Hamilton would be in a position where he would be the next man up if Williams or Clark, either one, were to go down, then he would play either side. But it is something to think about, that of this group, that of true free safeties, Marcus Williams appears to be the only guy making that move going forward. I do like Tony Jefferson, Geno Stone. Those guys are players that are more than just special teams players. I think that if you call upon them, if they need to step up to be rotational guys, or if there's an injury that goes down, they can answer the call and be very good players there. So a very good group from top to bottom of that safety group. Special teams, Justin Tucker made the team. How about that? As well as Jordan Stout and Nick Moore rounding out the special teams unit for the Baltimore Ravens. So with that, this situation, when I look at for the Baltimore Ravens, it's a very good roster. I feel pretty good. There's a few things that I might have question marks, but for the most part, I think I got this pretty good, folks. What say you? Did I do this right? How's my Ravens roster projection? If you had to grade it A, B, C, D, or F in the comment section, let me know. Get your red pens out and tell me, how did I do grading the Ravens roster? A, B, C, D, or F, let me know. Let's talk practice squad players. And there's a few of these guys that I think are going to get the call up when something happens at some point this year. They'll be on the 53-man eventually. Mekhi Polk is an interesting name for me, the undrafted wide receiver out of Mississippi State. He looked really good in that first preseason game against Tennessee. We've talked a lot about Shamar Bridges, but Polk is another guy that potentially could be there if something happens, work his way to the 53-man. Anthony Brown really came out of nowhere for how well he's played to be the number 3 quarterback at this point. And then the other guys, Josh Ross, Stephen Means, among others. It's a pretty good group when it comes to practice squad players there for the Baltimore Ravens. And, the other thing, too, as we mentioned with Shamar Bridges, for me, it's the size that he brings to the table. 6'4", 207, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. What he brings to the table is something that the Ravens do need. He might not necessarily be ready right now for his name to be called and be on that 53-man, but give it time. Let him be on that practice squad, and we'll see. He could be a difference maker down the line. So we're not just writing him off because we have him missing the 53-man roster here. So before we go, I'm on Twitter as well as Instagram at Tyler Jones Live. That is the easiest way to find me there. Talking Ravens and going across the National Football League on my social media platforms. Follow me there and send me a DM. Would love to hear from you guys and talk Ravens football anytime, anywhere. You name it, I'm there on social media. Appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time here on the Ravens Rundown.